This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order the Public Safety Building Committee meeting on October 5th at approximately 4:32 p.m. This meeting is audio and video recorded. Just to start the meeting, if we could just do a quick roll call if everybody's here.
Mark Darnold.
Tell them.
Oh.
Lean forward.
Yeah.
I'm Mark.
John O'Shea.
Ian Illingsworth.
Chris Fowles. Cindy Palmer.
Christina Madsen.
Rich Fasoli over here.
And Ed Gibson in the background.
Hi Ed, we see you in the background there.
And this meeting is going to involve a video conference with HKT and their two principals, Janet Flamenda and Amy Delknap. All right. So any open time for the public, and then we'll just kind of skip right to the process here. I don't see anybody here. And if everyone's open to this, let's get right to, would you like to review the minutes or go right to the, video conference with HKT? Anybody opposed to going right to the video conference?
I move that we defer the minutes.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, the floor is yours.
Great. So we wanted to sort of return our attention to the matrix and see if we can do some ranking of the sites. I guess before we do that, did anyone have any questions on any of the follow-up information that we sent on any of the sites, or as you looked at all the site information we sent out, any questions at all?
I have one correction. You sent out, I think it was an email with information about I think related to, somebody said the health agent reported that there was ledge on the current site of the fire department. And you said it was Chris that reported that. It was me.
It was you.
And secondly, it wasn't the health agent, it was the director of the health department. So that was the correction there.
Okay. Okay. Does anyone else have any questions or comments? Okay. Have you guys had a chance to look at the matrix at all? And if you have any general comments, I can tell you since Janet and I met with you, we did look at it a little bit more and talked about the information that we read, the data that we got from PAR and what we know about the sites, and we started to look at the rankings. We can share that with you to get conversation going, or we can just sort of facilitate a conversation with all of you if you've already taken a pass at ranking them yourself. But I wanted to see where you guys stood since we last met with you, if anything had happened.
I've tried to rank them myself.
Yeah.
I have too.
Okay.
I have as well.
Okay. All right, well then let's just launch into them. I'll share my screen and we can start a conversation, and let's get to it. Okay, so we've got our three sites, and then the first category of criteria was location. And the first item is geographic location. I know we talked about this a little bit at the end of the meeting last time, but not all the members were there. You didn't have a quorum, so we figured you probably would want to continue this conversation. So does anyone want to talk about what your thoughts are on the location of the three different sites? We have 7 possible points in this category.
I don't mind starting.
Tell her who you are so they know who's talking.
We did roll call.
Yeah, you gotta speak loudly because you're far from the mic. She can't hear you.
Hi, this is Charlie Konecki. I'm the health agent in town.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, they hear me.
Yep, we can hear you.
Geographic location. I, I would look at basically the Zero College Highway as the prime area. And I look at it as the prime area because of the fact of the ambulance service and the elderly that are surrounding that whole property area. Across the street, down the ways, I mean, we could talk to the fire chief directly, but my suspicion is that's probably where the bulk of the emergency ambulance calls go through. If I was gonna look at 79 Clark Street, I would look at that as the most isolated site to get to any of the locations in town. Because if you look at the densely populated area of town, it's actually closer to Zero College Highway. 204 College Highway, which is the present fire station, would run second in my opinion. So it would be Zero College Highway, 204 College Highway, and then 79 Clark Street.
Aren't you supposed to give number rankings, like, do you call?
I'm just giving an overview. I thought we were gonna all try to decide. Are we doing this so that each and every one of us ranks it, and then we're gonna take and put this on a scale, and then we're gonna calculate this out? Or are we gonna do this as an open conversation and try to
I think
reach it?
it usually works best if we do it as an open conversation, and then the committee as a whole decides on a number value to come up with. I think usually, having these conversations and sort of weighing the pros and cons, talking about, different people could approach it from different perspectives and have different thoughts, as the discussion ensues. And it usually helps to hear all of those things and then come to a consensus on what a good ranking is for the different sites. So I should say, what I just had up on my screen, after some of the conversation we had the other day, Janet and I just looked online to try to get a sense of where these sites were in relation to the town boundaries. So this image over here shows the town boundaries, and then we've got the three sites, the existing fire station, 79 Clark Street, and Zero College Highway, shown here. This 9 minutes, disregard that. That's actually to drive between the three sites and not the set distance between these two. But we just wanted to get a sense of where these sites were in relation to the town. What we don't know ourselves is the things that you guys are starting to talk about, is where the population centers are and where most of the calls are that come into the police and fire station. And then also, if you were to put a station over at Zero College Highway, that is sort of further towards the boundaries of the town, and what would that mean for your longest distance responses? So we did this for ourselves, but we thought those were good things that you guys might want to talk about.
I would like to know what our police chief thinks, because we did hear our acting fire chief mention that, a large percentage of EMS calls are from elders, and therefore, I think you were speaking in support of Zero College Highway the other day, but I wonder about the police calls and how frequently are they more spread out?
That area is the most dense area, dense population as far as calls for service. As far as, they don't really have much of a bearing. How I ranked them really was, I gave 204 College Highway a 7 and Zero College Highway a 7. I felt that both locations were adequate response for police.
All right, I'll pick it up. So I also ranked, I put the current station as the highest, with a 7 and then 5 for each of the others, only because I felt that the current station is a straight shot out to the highway, and the other two are not far off the highway, but there's a couple of more turns to get there, so I just knocked them down a point, that's all. No particular great rationale.
I put site access was a separate, in the second category versus.
Oh, could be. I might have one category.
The first one is geographic, and then the second category.
Oh, it's the next one, I'm sorry. Yep, okay. So, yeah, I'm easily convinced. Thanks, Mike.
You mean under neighborhood?
No, down to accessibility, sorry.
Number 2.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So
I
I'm trying to
did
keep
the wrong one.
with
Yeah.
geographic.
But geographically, I also put 204 with a 7
Yeah.
because of the central location. And also, I put the other two down lower, just a small bit lower. And I would have to agree that the idea that 79 Clark is a little more remote and does require more turns as far as geographic location. And I think Zero College Highway will have, as was discussed last week, driveway turns. So geographically, it's not right on the road. So I gave that a 6. So I gave 7 to 204, 6 and 6.
We're all supposed to call out our numbers?
So that's what you did.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I'm pretty much in agreement that 204 is the most central and best located. Again, because I have felt that 79, when I drove by it today, it didn't even look like the station would be very visible at all in front of that, or behind the industrial building. So I think that ranks the lowest. And for College Highway, Zero College Highway, it is the turning, the fact that it's set back from the road that would take me down to a 6.
Okay. So we have a couple categories. We do have community visibility, which talks about just what you said. If someone's in an emergency, they're trying to get to the public safety building, how visible will it be for them? And then also site access, which talks about entry points and roadways and how quickly is it to get out to the roadway. We definitely want to talk about those points when we get to those too. So anyone else for geographic location have any thoughts? Sal? Go ahead.
This fire chief, for close, Zero College Highway would be the best. Like you said in the past, all the elderly and most of our calls are pretty much right across the street. 128 College Highway, we're there almost every day. Pulling out of the station on the side road there, I don't know how much of a deal it would be. When I was at their planning board meeting, they said that road was going to be plenty wide enough for the fire trucks. And pulling out on the highway, we have to pull out on the highway either 204 or 0. So I would almost like 0, then 204, then 79 Clark at third place.
Okay. Okay. So it sounds like, does anyone else have anything else to add before? Sounds,
I
go.
kind of tend to go along with what's being said here, that Zero College Highway being close to the population density center, particularly elderly, would provide the greatest good to the greatest number of people without getting to the point where any of the other corners of town are underserved.
Okay. I mean, it sounds like there's some consensus that in general, 204 College Highway and 0 College Highway are preferred and 79 Clark Street less so. Does everyone agree with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And so we get to a little bit of hair splitting here with numbers and what we do. Are people comfortable with 204 is getting 7?
Yes.
And then 0 College Highway, it sounds like some people are saying 7, some people 6, some people 5 maybe. Thoughts?
I'll defer to Chief Fasoli.
Yeah, that's, 6 or a 7.
Let's put it at 7.
Like a 6.5.
And I think, Amy, we should downsize 7 Clark a bit to 5
Yeah, I think
4 even.
5 or 4.
Yeah.
Anyone have?
I go 4 with this category.
Yeah, whatever. I had 4. Yeah, I had Clark as
4?
well, but it doesn't
Yep.
matter. Yeah.
Okay. We good with those?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Okay. So the neighborhood, this is about impact on the neighbors, both residential neighborhoods and any community buildings around it, whether this would have a minimal impact, a moderate impact, a significant impact to the surrounding neighborhood. So, 204 College Highway, you've already got a public safety building there. So it would really be a question of would a larger facility that included police on that site have an impact on the neighborhood?
My opinion, Charlie, is it would be minimal because of how that's laid out between the town hall being there. There's literally just one house across the street. So it'd be very minimal if anything was expanded there.
Right.
Okay. What about the other sites?
I think 79 Clark Street would have minimal impact because there's nothing there either.
Right. Yeah.
I feel the same way, as far as, this is the police chief, as far as impact to neighborhood, I think that they really had minimal impact to any neighborhoods. In particular, well, one will be in a neighborhood. If that site should get selected and there's an actual, development there, then those people moving into that neighborhood would know that that facility is going to be there. So it won't have an impact of coming in after the fact, if you follow what I'm saying. But 204 College Highway it would be like a campus. It would fall right in within that location as well.
But even though Zero College Highway isn't yet developed, the proposal is to have a neighborhood on two sides and a commercial neighborhood and not a residential neighborhood, a commercial neighborhood on the third side. And there is another neighborhood on the property that is not currently owned by the developers. So there's really would be neighborhood on three sides. So I think there is an impact on neighborhood there, whether people know about it. Somehow I think the people in the currently established neighbors didn't think there was going to be a public safety building there when they bought their houses on those other little streets there. Cheryl Lane, I know, is that the name of the?
Lynn Drive.
Yeah, Lynn.
Lynn, yeah. Lynn.
Yeah, it's interesting because I spoke to the owner of
You gotta speak really loud.
Yeah,
She can't hear.
I spoke to the owner of what we call the old Strawberry Manor. It's a 6-family unit, and explained what was going on in the back. And the owner was like, "Oh, that was it. Oh, I thought I was going to hear more."
Yeah. I think for me on neighborhood, I thought that the 79 Clark Street had no impact really on a neighborhood, so I ranked that the highest at 4. 3 for the current site, just because of the housing just across the street, but they're kind of used to it already anyway. I don't know if this would make more lights and more intrusion into their homes, I don't know. And I put Zero College Highway as low, so I actually ranked them 4, 3, and 2, just because of the anticipated number of houses in and around, as well as the commercial development up front, that I thought it could have an impact on a more densely populated area.
I agree with you, Chris.
Yeah. I concur.
Anyone else?
I'm good with that.
You're good with that?
So I'm a little confused because now the one, oh, okay, no, I'm not confused. I just figured it out, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Current use. So here is the site currently undeveloped, but the site is planned for another use, and so not slated for a public safety building, or is it available? So in this case, for example, 79 Clark Street is undeveloped and isn't planned for any other uses. This is only worth 2 points.
I think that's true of all of them.
Yeah, I see that.
I gave them 2s right across the board.
Right.
I didn't know.
Okay.
I agree with you, Chris.
Yeah, equal.
I have to agree with that, yeah.
Okay. we talked the other day about how zoning allowed all of the, allowed public buildings on any of these sites. So does everyone agree with just giving 2 across the board, or does anyone have any other thoughts on that?
No, I think we're going 2 across the board because it's not applicable.
I think that works, although I think is the current fire, I'm okay with it because the current fire station is where it is, and obviously we've been using it the way we've been using it. But I think that zone, if I read that right, wasn't that zone residential something or other? Village, maybe? I forget. But the other thing I was gonna bring out, and it's more in the PAR narrative report, in one of the, I think it's their report that was looking at documents that they referenced. And they had the zoning bylaws, but that's from 2018. Those have just been updated. So I would just encourage them to get a copy of the current zoning bylaws.
Okay.
Not that may change anything, but just so that they're working with the right documents.
It was on one spot that changed, wasn't that? And that was down on,
No, on the zoning bylaws are
zoning
changed.
bylaws, but the zoning identifiers, I think there's only one thing that changed, and that was down on Route 10. I don't think any of those things changed.
We've got commercial village, residential village, and industrial park. So I didn't know whether residential village, it was a question in my mind, whether we're using it, obviously, that is the current fire station, so I'm assuming it's fine. I ranked them all at 2. I'm just pointing out that they are zoned a little differently, but in the PAR report, they're using zoning bylaws from 2018. So that's all I'm talking about.
Well, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, that was a draft, they have to, read it, make sure all these things are pointed out here.
PAR's report.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
They're gonna get back to you.
So public facade and screening. So this is about the abutters to the site and what might be needed to screen them from a public safety building, any emergency response vehicles, from, view from police cruisers that may be parked there, or anything of that sort.
So if I'm understanding your question, the lower the score means the worse the condition is.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, because the other questions are sort of in a manner that the higher the score, the better it is.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, the higher the score is, the better the situation. So in this case, for example, we've talked about Zero College Highway, where there are planned residential structures directly across the street from where the fire station or the public safety building would be located. And so fire apparatus would be leaving the apparatus bays and potentially have, lights facing right into those homes. There might be, there was some low-income housing planned on one side. We just talked about the residences that might be behind it and all. So you might need to screen them a little bit. So that, I would say, would get a lower score because it's not advantageous. It's an added cost to the project to have to do all that screening, and an added deterrent because you might have neighbors who are in opposition to the project. So that, I would say, you would want to think about whether to give it a 0 or a 1. Whereas, maybe 79 Clark Street, I don't think there are any residences around there. The only impact would be to this industrial facility, not such a concern. As you wouldn't have people in the middle of the night who'd be bothered by lights and all. And that might get a 2 then. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the way I'm looking at this, 204 College Highway is a 2, zeros, College Highway is a 0, and 79 College Highway can be a 1 or a 2.
I'd agree with Charlie. I'd make it a 2 for 79.
I'd take a 2 on 79.
Yeah.
This is for community, for
Public facade. Yeah, screening.
This question is in reverse of the other.
So 202, is that what we're saying?
Yep.
Okay. All right, and then we have community visibility. So this is what Christina was talking about a little bit again. If someone's having a heart attack and they're trying to get to a public safety building, can they find it? If they're, looking for a permit even, can they find it easily? How visible is it? So, for example, Zero College Highway isn't along the main drag, so to speak, maybe you would have to negotiate to have some sort of sign out on Zero College Highway to direct people in. So that might have this site lose some points. Whereas 204 College Highway, everybody already knows that there's a public safety building there, and it is fairly visible from the main drag there.
So if I'm reading this, 204 College Highway, the present station would be a 6.
Yes.
And the other two could be 3s or 4s, but they're about equal.
I would
I
give,
think-
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
go ahead, Chris.
No, please.
I was just gonna say Clark Street could be much less visible, much tougher to
Yeah,
find
they'd be a 3.
unless somebody gave you directions.
Yeah,
You would need a sign on Clark and 10.
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
Clark
And
and,
East
Yeah.
Street.
I have Clark as a 3 myself, but,
I'd put it even lower. Because even, it's not, it wouldn't be visible, I don't believe at all from the road, is that true?
No, you wouldn't see it.
it would be hard, it would be, I mean, you'd have to be looking down Clark Street to see it probably,
Yeah.
yeah. Because even as you drive now, you don't necessarily notice Merman Keystone.
And if the senior center got built at 89, that would bring another barrier to the seeing of it. Again, we don't know if that'll happen, but,
Yeah, might.
so,
So 6, 4, and 3?
That was my vote.
That was
Really,
your vote?
3, I'd go 1 on 79.
All right,
but-
1.
On Clark Street?
Well, I can easily be overridden, but it just seems very difficult to see.
It would be difficult, especially where it would be, not only it's on that side street like it is, and it's off of Route 10, but you're also, like you said, you're
Way back, I was shocked at how big Marmon Keystone
And
was today.
if you're coming down East Street, you wouldn't see it at all.
Well, that's true.
Correct.
That is a good point, yeah.
but I actually gave Zero a 3, Zero College Highway a 3. Because I, again, think there would have to be screening, as we just spoke about above, so there'll be screening there, and there ultimately will be commercial buildings on the road. And yes, over time, people will learn where it is, but if there was an emergency, it could be frustrating, you know, where's the turn and all of this. That's what we're talking about. So I gave Zero College Highway a lower score for that reason, and 79 could be a 2 or a 1. It's fine with me. I gave it a 2.
So you all agree with 204 and 6?
Yeah, we agree with the order, the ranking.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they, you know, ultimately, there's going to be a totaling, so we
Yeah.
probably have to agree on all the numbers right now.
I think we should. I suggest 1 for 79,
Okay, go with that.
but
1's
please
good with me.
object.
We will.
Okay.
I'm okay with 1.
1.
One's okay.
So it really comes down to Zero College Highway. Is it 3 or is it 4?
I got a 3. What does everybody else think?
I had a 4.
I had a 4.
Four.
I think with signage,
Yeah.
a 4
Yeah.
would work.
It's supposed to be a large street, and it should have accessibility.
And it's, I think, look, is it 300 or 400 feet from the highway? That's not really a long distance.
But you won't see it from the highway if a commercial building is in front of it.
Depending
So
on
I
the
think
front of it, so-
we'll have to rely on
It's,
signage.
Signage, yes.
It has a couple, you know,
Yeah.
drawbacks
No
because
doubt.
of that, with that, you know,
Yeah.
being on the front end of it.
Sure.
So it won't immediately be visible probably from the highway. It's hidden a little bit behind those, you know, potential commercial buildings.
So my question would be would the building have signage access? If the commercial sites are sold in front of it, are we sure that there will be a place on the highway for signage?
Not as a selectman, but just as general public. I think if the selectmen are in negotiation to take possession of the property, they would have something in that agreement that would allow us signage at the highway.
And that's possible if it's being sold to an independent?
Well, the street and that will be maintained by the town.
Right, okay. All right, as long as we're sure that, how do you know about this stuff, Mark?
Are you listening to me?
Can you elucidate?
You know, if you're gonna pylon sign, I'm not sure what the signing criteria is in Southampton, but you want a pylon sign out by Route 10 and the subdivision roadway. It wouldn't be a bad idea to have a lit sign so that at night people would recognize that it's a police fire station.
Yeah. It might even need to be like at the corner of that Greenbrier Estate parcel, you know, if you're heading north. You know, the small little housing apartment building, whatever that is on the right-hand side there.
You do have to take into consideration that that's not a town right away. That's a state Route 10 right away. So we're gonna have to deal with the state if we're trying to put
The
a sign
state
right
will not
away.
allow you to put a pylon sign in there.
No,
They don't.
What is
Really?
a pylon?
no.
Sorry.
You put it on the post, if
Yeah.
if you have it down on the ground, it can block your
Oh,
vision
right.
trying to pull out, so a lot of times they want to have a
yes, that's
pylon sign, so it's on a post, so you can see under it when you approach on both sides. It needs to be out near the highway where you drive up to where people can see it, so. But that's a negotiation that could happen with the planning board, as approval process for the,
How much of an obstacle with the state might it be, or with the planning board? Do you know, Ed, that whether,
Well, I don't think it's going to be an obstacle with the planning board.
no.
okay,
State, yes.
it will be an obstacle with the state?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple things to consider there. One is line of sight, like Mark said. The other
Right.
thing, state really doesn't like signs because when the vehicles come along and hit them, they become airborne
Yeah.
and they go flying.
So how does that?
It's a liability
affect
or a
us?
risk obstacle at
Yeah.
that point.
So, I mean, we'd have to figure that out, but I mean, I'd be tempted to go for 3 on that.
Yeah, I mean, you certainly, I'm convinced now to go lower than what I had based on what's been said.
Yeah. I mean, the
On
state,
on the flip side of that, I'm gonna say it as we may have the current fire station, I believe, has a sign that's in the state right away.
The one
That
that's,
probably was not permitted.
Oh, you mean on the road?
that fancy
Yeah.
one.
Oh, gee.
Oh, oh.
Good point.
That wasn't me.
So, if for the sake of moving forward,
What was
631.
6, 3, 1?
okay, I got it.
Anybody oppose those numbers?
I'm good with it.
No.
Okay, 6, 3, 1, okay.
Great. Okay.
I have you.
Okay, next is accessibility as a general category, and the first one is site access, which we had worth 8 points. And this is the ease of access onto and off of the site. You know, things to think about here for 204, 210 College Highway, we have the traffic for the town office building sort of merging. That could be cleaned up, divided up a little bit better, but we do have those 2 entry points onto the highway for those 2 uses. 0 College Highway, again, you're going to go off the site, but then to get to the main road, you're going to have to make a couple turns. 79 Clark Street, likely the building would need to be set back. There's that long skinny access point between the industrial facility and the neighboring property, and so the building would probably be set back, and so you'd have some sort of long access point. So those are the things that we think that you might want to think about.
If I may, 79 Clark Street also has the issue of when you get to the end of Clark Street and College Highway, you have a blind hill from the gas station coming down to pull out. You follow what I'm saying? When you pull out and you get to that intersection there, they're coming on Route 10 over that hill. And you gotta keep your eyes open there because they're coming over pretty fast sometimes.
Wouldn't that also, your point, apply to 0 College Highway because of the way if you're coming south, if you're coming south, you're kind of coming up a bit of a curve
Coming up the hill.
and coming up the hill, and there's a bit of blindness there, maybe not the same amount, but
Well, the problem, the issue as I see that, Cindy, is the driveway that's being proposed
yeah,
is a considerable distance from that hill and that curve.
huh,
It's not like the one there on Clark Street, which it's right there.
okay.
yeah, I think, to change a little bit, you know, access, but also egress from both these sites as well. You know, access is getting in, egress. I'm thinking about 0 College is egress, you're leaving there and there's a potential to have cars queued up to leave subdivision approaching Route 10, so egress, maybe getting out of the driveway from the fire station onto the subdivision road is no problem, but in subdivision road onto Route 10, if there's a queue of cars there, that'd be an issue.
So-
I mean, it's true of Clark Street too, but I
Yeah.
don't think to be less likely to have a large number of cars
Right.
there.
Just a question though, then, based on what Mark is saying, what's the difference in your mind, Janet or Amy, between site access and traffic? Because is that not, what we're just saying, is that maybe more the traffic side than it is the,
Yeah, sure.
I mean, is it getting onto traffic or is it traffic around the station? I guess I was, and traffic patterns.
You've got two categories, 2.1
They're
and
very close to me, I'm having a hard time trying to
Yeah.
figure out what to do with them, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, typically
Yeah,
traffic is.
I'm
traffic
sorry, I have to
impacts.
admit, a car just went by with a very loud muffler just as you were speaking, so I missed some of that.
College Highway?
Janet, can
Yeah, it's
you?
the difference between
Traffic.
movement onto the site versus how it impacts the traffic. Should we be, I think you're asking, should we be, I think somebody was just talking about egress being the issue here, like are we getting backed up, is it traffic, is it an internal site, and are they the same things? Is that what you're saying? Are they so similar that there's
Well, I
not a
guess,
whole lot of difference between the two of them?
well, I guess I was wondering, with site access, in the criteria on the right, it talked about entry, so I was
Yes,
looking
yeah.
to get into it, but then I was taking traffic as to get out of it. That might not be right.
Yeah, so they
So I
talk
don't
about
know.
ingress and egress. We don't distinguish there. We talk about entry points, but,
Well, let's just do one at a time then. So site access is where we were without confusing
I will
ourselves.
start with
I think,
204 College Highway.
I think that we are talking about egress and ingress here. I think the traffic is more, are you going to cause traffic jams? Are we bringing so much traffic to this area? Are there going to be needs for traffic lights in this location? Are there
preemption,
Yeah, or preemption. Is there, I'm thinking of a station that we just did recently where we did have to put in traffic lights, but the station was on a significant commuter route. And so there were lots of concerns about what was going to happen in the morning when schools let out and then in the evening for the commutes. And we had to, paint lines in the street to make sure that there was always free or try to ensure that there would always be free access out of the station in an emergency, and that folks wouldn't block up the road there. So I think those are kind of the things that we were thinking of with traffic, and site access is more just getting in and getting out
Okay. Chief was gonna
easily
say something here.
to the roadways.
Amy, should then we not consider maybe the dangerousness of getting into the highway from any of these
Oh, yeah.
locations? That's what we're
Oh,
considering
yeah.
then, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, not
I
just
think definitely.
okay, all right. So, I mean, I would like I'll start on 204 College Highway from my experience. That's right across the street from East Street. Obviously, we're coming from the other side as the police department. And I'm sure Chief Fasoli can speak on behalf of the fire department coming from there, but that sometimes can be a very difficult intersection to get out of with emergency vehicles.
Yes.
Lights and sirens, it's still difficult. There is some blind spots. You have people coming out of East Street. It's just that intersection itself is getting busier and busier, so I don't believe that should get certainly should be considered when we score this.
Wouldn't that be true of all the sites, because they're all exiting onto the College Highway?
Yes, but not so much, this is a little bit more significant, I think.
You do?
Right.
Yes,
The fact
because
that
there's no other intersecting streets
The fact that house
across, right?
Okay.
is right on the corner and blocks so much view is
Right.
one of the biggest pieces of the puzzle. And then you're going downhill.
So when you're pulling out of this street, and Chief, maybe you'd be better to say this, because this is more your.
Right, what happens with us a lot is we'll be pulling out onto the highway and all of a sudden a car is turning from East Street on the College Highway and they're looking left, they don't see any cars, so they pull, they're turning right from East Street to College Highway and then all of a sudden they're right there when we're trying to pull out. So there's been some near misses there. And then coming back to the station, same thing. You're pulling off of East Street, trying to get back into the station, and it's such a quick little S-turn that, they're...
In fact, one of your apparatuses was hit getting
Right.
into the fire station
Right.
at that point, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Plus you've got.
Yeah, one of
traffic
our brush truck, it was brand new and somebody rear-ended it.
Plus you got traffic coming down the hill on Route 10, and even though we have speed limit signs there, people don't obey.
Right.
People don't obey the 30 or 35 mile an hour speed limit signs, so.
Zero College Highway, it's more of a T intersection where there's plenty of sight distance both ways. So I don't think there'd be an issue getting in and out of there.
Can I ask at this point, has it ever been discussed about having like blinking lights so that, you know, if your truck is coming out, there's blinkers that go on even before while you're like jumping into the truck, so that...
We haven't, I mean, it's a state highway, so...
You can have lights that are activated by the...
Yeah, that's what we were talking
Emergency
about
lights.
preemption, is like, you know, you trigger by the access, you trigger a light stopping traffic so you can get out.
Northampton Fire has it.
Yeah.
But John is saying, do you think it's hindered because it's a state highway? Is that a factor in this?
Yeah. You have to-
It's a
Can
long,
you imagine from the
it's a
state?
long process.
Yeah, you have to satisfy what they call traffic signal warrants. You
Yeah.
meet certain
Yeah.
criteria before they will allow you to put one in. You can't just put one in because you want to.
But
Yeah,
is it
yeah,
hard
we're
to
doing
get
the-
it if
We're
you
doing
put
the
it all
traffic
those
study right
four
now for
places?
state road access point. You know, we have to go through MassDOT and everything, so.
Well, getting back to this question,
Yeah,
I would probably score Clark Street as the lowest. And I got mixed feelings between 0 College Highway and 204 College Highway. I think I'd be scoring them equally.
So what score were you giving?
I sort of just threw that at the table to get the conversation going. As to, I mean, if you want numbers, I would give Clark Street like a 2, and I'd give the other 2 probably 4s or 5s.
we agree that all of these have issues. We didn't
Yeah,
score them
none of
very
them.
high either,
Yeah.
so just, not that we're going to share that necessarily, but I think your thinking is
So
good.
552, 442?
442.
I agree with 442.
I'll go with the group, but I still believe this location here, 204, is much more
I
significant.
would say 432, because I think the 204 is worse than the 0 College.
Yes, that's...
Well, then that would be 3.
So-
Yeah, so it'd be the other way around.
342.
So 342 is what you're suggesting.
So
3 for,
342.
All right.
So 0
Three for
for College Highway
here.
better than
Yeah.
All right,
current.
342.
342.
342. Okay.
And I've got my numbers mixed up because they were on my page. So don't score according to
As long as you know.
I do.
Okay, so the next one is traffic. So we've talked a little bit through the conversation. This is worth 4 points.
I think we're looking at the same pattern here, you know, except different numbers, but probably look at the 221.
This is traffic.
221.
221.
I think they're equal.
I don't see backing up as much traffic on 79 Clark Street when you get out onto Route 10. That to me is a higher score than either of the other two. Clark Street, there's not, I mean, where you're gonna get a traffic jam, if that's what we're talking about, I think is gonna be like right here in the center and also up at 0 College Highway, because people going to the bank, going to the dentist, going to Cumbies.
I was
There's a lot of traffic
I
there.
was thinking the park and the playing fields and everybody leaving at the same time.
That's true. The park, yeah, but the
There
park
are
across the
certain
street,
times,
that
yeah.
is a challenge, but it's only at certain days and certain times. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's true too.
It's not constant, whereas I think the others are more constant. So I had Clark Street actually the better of the two.
So 223.
Yeah, I had 223 actually, so.
But I also think that with the proposal for 204, for 0 College Highway to eventually have commercial business on College Highway and the residential, there could be times, and it wouldn't just be Saturday mornings like Conant Park, when there would be different people going in and out, and to me, that sounds like traffic could be more of a problem than even this corner, although I'm listening to what you're saying about coming out of this corner here at 204 can be a big challenge at certain times. So, I don't know. I wouldn't give College College Highway a higher score than 204?
No, I wouldn't.
I had it 224, that's what I had.
224?
That's what I rated it as. I thought,
Do we hear it twice, 224?
It's very good. Twice.
Okay, close
You
enough.
bought it.
224.
224. Okay.
I think part of the problem we have here is that Zero College Highway is just projected plans. We have nothing concrete to work
Making
with.
assumptions.
That's right,
Yeah.
everything is based on,
Yeah, and it's really,
Still may change.
from my point of view, a little bit hard to make a real determination when we have nothing firm. So we are just guessing, we're speculating.
Yeah.
To get a
Yeah.
actual.
Yeah.
It's true. But
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's best guess with the data that you have to work with at the moment. So I think you guys are on the right path, though. So site features, whether the sites have adequate buildable area to fit the program. I think Zero College Highway is the smallest, and it's, what is it, Janet, just over 4?
just over 4.
4 acres. I can say that we have done public safety building that's a little bit larger than what we have programmed on a site that was about that size. So I think we feel that probably has adequate building area.
Great.
if I'm looking at this, I would look at Zero College Highways and 79 Clark Street as having adequate area. 204 College Highway, only because I know the area. That's going to take some real brainstorming to put something together there that's functional.
Isn't that under site development, the kind of brainstorming things you're talking about?
Well, they're saying building area. And that area at the present fire station has issues with wetlands and everything
Yep.
else that
Correct.
narrow, that even though it's a big parcel, the parcel's really got a small footprint of what's buildable.
But it was worked out in 2014 so that it was adequate. It was,
Yes, it was, but in 2014, we're now being told that the building that's required is about 30% larger.
no, I
Unless
don't
we get
think
it
so.
down, unless we carve it down.
I think the 2014 was 22,000 and this is 27 minus.
Still has to be carved down. But I think, I mean, to me, Clark Street is the least real buildable area, adequate. I mean, just the shape of the lot alone just knocked it down in my head in terms of the buildable area.
That's going to have issues there.
I need HKT to talk to us about this, or to me, are you talking about the fact that just strictly square feet? Is that what buildable area means?
Size and shape of the parcel is what it's
Size and
saying.
shape?
Yeah, it's size and shape of the parcel for the most part. So, Zero College Highway is a fairly regular shape, and as we say, at about 4 acres, without a lot of, there aren't wetlands or anything restricted on it. So it looks like it would be adequate. 79 Clark Street, just given the shape of the site and what we know about the program for the apparatus bay, and that the apparatus bay really wants to exit right out onto Clark Street, I think it would probably be difficult to orient the building in that long, skinny sort of neck next to the industrial building. I think chances are the building is probably going to be set further back with a drive that gets out. We haven't put pen to paper yet, but that's sort of, I think, our gut looking at the site. And then 204 College Highway, there are certainly a lot of restrictions for the wetlands and all. I haven't looked at your zoning yet to know the height restrictions and whether a 3-story structure might even be possible if we ran into issues with buildable area, but I think that would be something we'd be looking at if when we first started doing test fits on the site, found that the restrictions were too much to sort of get what we needed in terms of a footprint. So those are the things that we're thinking about.
So I think, we should probably go with the better is 0, then 204, and then 79, right? Is that what we're kind of
Yeah,
looking
Yep.
at here?
yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
it's a matter of the points.
Now
What
it's
are
not
the
a matter of
numbers?
points.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
So we did, I guess what we decided here is that the better of the two is, of the three rather, 0 College Highway, and then 204 College Highway and 79 Clark Street, you know, in that order. Now we just gotta figure out the points, right?
Okay.
So, I mean, if we're thinking buildable, 0 College Highway is flat, and it's flat,
So
pretty
it's
much
a
flat,
Yeah.
you know?
Give it 6.
And then
Yeah, I did-
204, if we have to consider possibly a 3-story building, that might not be as,
Or at least a two-story.
or 2-story, you know, that's not as,
Ian's penthouse.
you know, so I get the 3rd story myself.
We've done a couple of 3-story buildings recently, they're not as bad as
The Chiefs up top,
Well, let me throw some numbers
Let him
out
finish
there.
what he's doing.
so I mean, for me, I would go 6 for 0 College Highway, probably maybe a 4 for 204, and 79, pretty low.
Yeah.
642.
Two or three, maybe, I don't know.
Anybody agree or object or have any other opinions?
246 is reasonable.
I'm not sure about that. I mean, this is the first time that I've jumped in here. I don't
Yeah.
think 79 Clark is really that bad. It's a big site. And I know that you might not be right on the road, but there's a lot of acreage there to work with. And so maybe you're, more instinctively scoring it, scoring it, but I'm not sure it's just, I don't know, Amy, what do you think? That's my gut.
I would agree unless it's a deal breaker for you
Yeah.
to, that you feel like the building has to be set right up against the road.
Right,
And
yeah. Right.
then I would score it low. But in
Yes.
terms of just overall acreage, I think it's big enough. Just that area right up against the road may not be big enough.
So give that like a 5. If 0 College is 6, give 79 a 5. And give 204 I would give it a 5. 5, 6, 5.
I don't
We
think,
have an image of that. Here it is.
yeah.
So just
I would say
Seems a lot.
204 and give it a 4.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
looking at
Person
it.
estimate.
So I think when we looked at it, there's a potential vernal pool back
Right,
here,
right, yeah.
but there is, more land back here. But the width here, I think there were 50-foot setbacks on either side. And so, what did we say, Janet? It was like
We said
100.
50, yeah, and then we put a 25-foot road, and, it was, something like that. And then, so we had about 120 or so linear across the front. If you put a, 5-bay, 4-bay, whatever, then you're close to 100 feet just for the apparatus, so you don't have much of a building left out on that front. So that's why we were a little concerned. Now, if you get the property next door for the senior center, you maybe negotiate with yourselves. I want to throw that out because that is the senior site right next door, right?
Yep.
So there may be a way of linking the two town properties together and benefiting both of them a little bit. But that's really a harder question. I don't mean to throw anything else at you, but Amy and I sort of.
But that's speculative too, because the senior center does not presently own that.
I mean, I went with the highest for the 0 College Highway at a 6, and I did 4s for the other two, because I thought they were kind of equal, but more size-wise, not for the real buildability per se, but more just the acreage to work with. That's all I was focusing on.
Yeah.
463 or 464.
463, 464.
464. That's what they got up there. Is that good? What they have? 464. It's 464.
464 is good with me.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Operations ease of use. This is worth 6 points. And we're talking about the staff and visitors' use of the site, whether the site would be big enough to configure it so that we could safely split up emergency vehicles and visitors, whether there's, enough, or whether there's going to be overlap of those. Thinking about, for example, the existing site, you've got an overlap with the town hall. What kind of an impact does that have on visitors and emergency vehicles coming out of the same station? Again, that could be reconfigured, but just as an example of some of the issues that you might need to think about. Will you be able to have a large enough site to have separate parking areas, to safely separate where visitors access the site and where emergency personnel are quickly egressing in an emergency, those sorts of things.
Well,
And don't
204
forget, you
College
do have a
Highway.
call department, so it's a little different as if you had a full-time staff that, got a lot of people coming in a hurry potentially, so
Right.
I don't know how that, but you should think about that, like how it impacts it. We always had, emergency use out of the site of the town hall, but we never had the police department, which is different than your fire department being called, so think about that as well.
And as we were just talking about 79 Clark Street and the fact that the building might have to be set deeper in the site, you might have to have some sort of an access drive. Think about, if you're going to have that length of an access drive, chances are you're not going to have separate ones for emergency response vehicles. So you have this internal roadway really that that police and fire and visitors are all going to be sharing. So some food for thought.
It's going to be true for all three.
I do too.
I had them equally 555. I thought there were issues with, potentially
so-
all of them.
Cindy, I agree with you.
Yeah, most of them can be solved during design.
Yeah. Can we equally score them all? Somebody else want to throw an idea out?
It's just a question, I agree with you, it's just a question of what number you want to use.
Well, I didn't give it a 6 because I thought they all had something to be concerned about.
Yeah, I did a 445, so I actually gave Clark a little bit higher just because there's not other traffic around the area, really. I mean, Marmon Keystone has like 4 cars parked outside at any given day. So I mean, I'm just looking from a, just in terms of any
Well, it's just-
potential, I don't know, staff and visitors, I don't know, it's hard to say what that would look like, I guess.
I think a lot of it may also, with it being here at the town hall, and the people in and out of the town hall, and obviously there'd have to be some reconfigured access way, right? Because that's what we're having, the fire department has problems with that currently. So there's definitely, and with now a police department, as well as public safety complex, I think that's a lot of,
So that might be
a lot of vehicles intermingling on the same way,
Yeah.
if you will.
But that would definitely be true of 0 too, with the neighborhood and commercial
Yeah.
traffic
Sure.
there on a single road.
Yeah.
There's just more space, if you will, just a little bit more condensed, but I agree with you, I agree.
Let's just do it, like she's got it up there, 555. Does anybody want to change those numbers?
No.
Well, I mean, I think Ian just argued that it's a little tighter here at 204, so.
I think it's a little tighter here,
Yeah.
you know.
I think the
And-
two,
Go ahead.
no, at 204, if we did do reconfiguration, we've already got a 1, 2, 3-way intersection, 4-way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-way intersection. If we separated to drive from town hall, that would make a 6-way intersection right here, which would make traffic and,
Much easier, much harder.
yeah, and,
I'd say a 345 myself.
Roundabout.
The roundabout, yes.
Although, to get in and out of East Street, that's not a bad idea.
3, 4, 5, how does that sound for everybody?
All right, 3, 4, 5.
Everybody good with that?
Yep.
I'm good.
So 204 is 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
345. Okay. Environmental, so wetlands.
Well,
So,
Yeah.
if there's no wetlands at all, or whether all work could occur outside of wetlands buffers, whether you've got a direct impact on the wetlands, whether you've got an impact on floodplains at all.
I'll throw out some numbers. I did a 264.
That's exactly what I had.
I agree.
I had a 365, but that's all right.
Just for the sake of moving. I mean, I think certainly the worst wetlands has got to be right here at Town Hall.
We match exactly on
Oh,
that
thank you.
one.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we had.
Yeah, so I think, from everything we've seen and heard, and from the report, it looks like, 0 College Highway has no real issues wetlands wise, and this one certainly does right next door, and it sounds like there's some up around Clark Street too, so I went 264.
I
So-
don't think we need,
No, go ahead. Are
I
we
was
ready?
going to say, everybody sounded like
Yep.
they agreed it, unless you
Yep.
had something else.
No, all I was gonna say, it sounds like everyone agrees with those numbers. With the other,
Okay.
I don't have any knowledge base on that, so I didn't rate them. I really don't have. the
Just so
knowledge.
you know, Amy and I did a bit of a deep dive into the environmental to really try to, go through that. That's why I did jump in and say, that I wouldn't normally jump in, but that was what we read most, from everything we read too, so matches.
So
Yeah.
0 is 6, is that
Yeah,
correct?
it's 264.
Okay,
This
thank
is
you.
the, yeah.
Okay. Stormwater management. So this really is highlighted in PAR's reports when they talk about the soils and whether there's good drainage in the soils or anticipated. And again, we're working from the best information we've got. Testing would have to be done on whatever site was finally selected, but we just work with the best data that we've got right now. So I don't know if anyone wants to take a stab, or you want us to tell you what we thought?
Well, I put a 364, 3 for 204 College, a 6 for 0 College Highway, and
Highest is 5.
a 4 for 79 Clark Street.
5
Oh, for
maximum,
wetlands?
or
Pardon?
Stormwater.
5 maximum on
Five.
stormwater.
The stormwater, I have
Five.
6 here. On my sheet.
Oh, really?
Wait a minute, stormwater
Yeah,
management, I have
6.
5 as the score on that, no?
I see what you mean.
As a total
This
score?
sheet, it
I
says
think
six,
that's
but-
wrong.
Yeah, and this one says 5.
I have 6 on mine too.
I have 5, okay.
I think it's because they added the drinking water.
Oh,
You've got enough.
oh, okay.
It's got the
That's why ours
drinking
is
water on
wrong.
there.
Yeah.
We've been working on the copy.
So that's reduced
So it's
to-
5.
Okay, stormwater.
It's fine, I thought, when he added the drinking water category, didn't that reduce from 6 to 5?
It did. And
Apparently.
we're looking at copies of the old one.
Oh, you don't have a new one, so.
Okay. So what,
I was having a little bit of a hard time following with everybody talking at once, so,
The total score for stormwater management, we were not clear on 5 or 6. I thought it was 5 because when we added the
oh, you're right.
drinking water,
It is 5.
It can't
Or
be.
it
can't
I
be.
didn't even-
You're right.
The next is 5.
So, I don't know if anyone has any other comments. 79 Clark, I'm a little, I thought that one had poorly drained soil with a very slow rate of water transmission. That was the one site that had the worst
It has the
water
worst conditions.
transmission for 79 Clark.
Yeah, I had to go dig out there for the
yeah,
other building.
there's standing water oftentimes during the
Yeah.
year, right on the roadside.
So
So are we thinking that the 4 should be lower then?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, if it's 5 max.
Maybe.
How about-
Maybe like a
I don't know.
how about 353?
I'm with that.
3?
Yeah,
3, 5,
So
3?
353?
Yeah.
Okay.
well, I thought that, and I'm sorry, I'd have to look at the peer report again. I thought there was concerns about 0 College Highway for stormwater management
Yes.
specifically. And why would it be any better than 204 for stormwater management?
Just the best soil.
it's reasonable cost for stormwater management. There's a stormwater system going in for the whole project.
But that's still proposed.
Plus, it's the best soils for stormwater as well. 0
It
College.
has the best soil.
Okay.
0 College is the best soils for
Okay.
stormwater.
It was
All right.
there, and then 204 as a second, and then 79 Clark had the least drainable soil.
Okay.
Right, which more,
So the fact that it had the better drainage soil made it better for stormwater management?
Yes.
Okay.
So even if the proposed stormwater management plan doesn't go through as being proposed by the developers, we, the town, would have to put in a stormwater management.
Correct. That's true of all
System.
sites. I mean, all the other sites
Yeah.
we'd have to do.
Right,
something.
no, right, but I'm just understanding that it doesn't matter that it's still projected, we would have to, we're just considering now what would be most advantageous for a stormwater management system. Okay, thank you.
So 353,
I'm good with that.
is that what is
Yep.
decided? Okay.
Okay. The next one is conservation and DEP permitting. And so we were looking at vernal pools and rare species habitats and what kind of an impact you might have on the site, or might have on those things on a site.
Yeah, this is Mark Darnold. I just checked Mass Mapper, and 79 Clark Street is a priority habitat of rare species and estimated habitat of rare wildlife site.
Right, I think Parr made mention of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
The other two are not natural heritage sites.
So we have to do wetlands for 204, but we wouldn't have to do wetlands for Zero College Highway. So if we were going to score this, we're probably looking at 231.
Out of a maximum of 5.
Out of 5?
No, out of
This is the
3.
conservation DEP.
Maximum 3.
Yeah, see,
So it's not-
mine says the maximum is 3 on this sheet.
Yeah, mine does too.
I think
Yeah.
that we changed this when we added the drinking
Yeah.
water protection
So the new-
line, maybe?
The new
Do you have,
Excel that you sent around, Christina, after the meeting last week.
It's fine.
Can you see those numbers, Charlie? Because I think that's the most up to
I
date.
can't see those
Okay.
numbers
I'll
unless.
stick up for Charlie, I can't see.
But your totals are wrong on there.
The
You
total
can
was
see
5.
that. If you
Yeah.
look and you start totaling in your orange column there,
you're right.
Ooh,
It was 5.
bad on me.
So again, I think it was when we added that other
Right.
score.
That's 21.
Uh-oh.
When we added that other category, we took something, or you took a point or two from these other
but then
categories.
she,
Yeah.
So I think you sent around an Excel right after our meeting
yeah, but
last
she's,
time.
this is.
And that may not be what you're using. Yeah. So I have 5 as a total on conservation.
You have a total of 5?
Is that right? I mean, so I
Right.
guess my.
Her total right now on the orange, under number 4, environmental is 21, and it only says 20. Oh,
Wait,
I see
so-
the total goes to the top, I'm
No,
sorry.
We just realized one of these categories wasn't adding in, so once we add that one category in, the overall total won't be 100, it's 103, so we're sorry about that, we missed a line. I don't think it's a deal breaker, but that's probably, you got an older version, and when we added the drinking water protection line, we probably
Forgot to, so.
missed adding something.
So,
We could drop the tree cover down to 2, just to
Yeah, on my-
help,
on
you
my-
know,
the version I have, which I thought was the one after the meeting, I have it totaling 100. And that environmental total category was only 18. So.
That's because it wasn't adding in this line. We just realized just right now
It wasn't added now.
that this line wasn't added. So once we added in, this jumps up to 21,
Yeah.
and the overall at the bottom goes down to 103.
Got it, okay, I just wanted to correct it on my screen, thanks.
What is it, 6, 5, 5,
Which one?
5, 5.
Okay, so what should it be then?
3, 2, yeah.
What is the total for conservation DEP?
It's 5.
So right now, we have
Meant to be
5.
5,
Okay.
Is it? Yeah, that's right.
and she's got in there 2, 3, 1.
So I think someone threw that out probably because they were looking at a different number here. It seems like Zero College Highway should probably be a 5. Do we agree?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, 5 and 0.
Yeah.
Anyone, what about the others?
So we're gonna raise up the others a little bit? Raise up 204? Given that the high is 5? You get a 3?
3 sounds good.
And
Just please, someone clarify that again, what conservation and DEP permitting is.
Let's look at, so we were talking about the vernal pools potential,
Oh, right, okay.
and I'm just gonna pull up Parr's report because they've got some drawing, or, no, I've got it open already, I think. Here we go. All the way at the end of it.
Like
Come
Mark
on.
mentioned, Clark Street is a national heritage.
Natural heritage
Right, and
site.
there's a vernal pool.
Yeah.
Nearby.
So Zero College Highway doesn't have any wetlands, vernal pools, anything like that. This is the existing fire station site. You see we've got wetlands over here, we've got wetlands buffers. It doesn't, I know that you've got other drawings that show some other wetlands. Their search didn't pull those up. And then this is 79 Clark Street. We've got a potential vernal pool right here, another potential vernal pool right here. So you're, again, if your building would be set back here somewhere, there's a good chance you're going to have an impact on this vernal pool in the surrounding area.
Now, are there not wetlands on the back side toward the railroad tracks of Zero College Highway?
Yeah,
Do
but
they
On
say?
the overall site?
Yeah, the overall site. So
yeah.
is that true, Mark?
Yeah, but it's more than 100 feet away from our
Okay.
site.
It's outside the buffer.
Okay, thank you.
That will be their problem, not your problem. for us.
So how it's 5 is for 0? And for 79, what, are we going way down on that?
Yeah,
I would-
To 0 or 1?
1. Or even, should it be 0? Is it that much
I mean,
danger?
it is permittable, it's just a
Yeah, you just have to get
process.
permission from
Okay.
environmental, I mean, it's
All right,
not
so what's your
low.
opinion?
I would say if it's possible 5, I'd say a 2 or a 1 for, I'd say a 2 for Clark.
Okay, 2 for Clark.
Okay.
And how about for 204?
To me, that's more of a normal, well, actually, this says only vernal pools and rare species, if that, we're gonna follow with their paragraph, is not necessarily wetlands.
Right, the wetlands was above.
Yeah, we've got
Yeah.
wetlands
There's no
here.
vernal-
So this is strictly vernal pools and rare species. And so for College Highway, I don't believe we have vernal pools or species at 204.
Yeah.
So that would be a 5 as well?
Yeah, Westwood.
So 552?
552. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, existing tree cover. Whether there's no major reduction in trees on the site, whether we'd have to do some minimal to moderate clearing, or whether we'd have to do major clearing on the site.
Well,
All the same.
there's nothing in any of them, so it's either 000 or 333.
All the same, whatever it is.
Yeah, all the same. How about 333? Or 222?
Clark Street
333.
though, if it's gonna be, possibly if it's gonna be proposed in the back, that's not wooded out there?
No.
It's not?
Wasn't one of them, maybe we looked at the.
Yeah, so it looked to us, again, not knowing the sites very well, Zero College Highway, it looked like there was some growth here, but probably it's new growth. It sounded like, this had been farmland at some point, maybe that was new growth.
Yeah, those are small trees.
Minimal on the existing site, and then it looked like there was quite a bit of wooded area back
Yeah, that's
here.
what I thought, yeah.
Yeah. And I guess I was wondering on the current fire station property 204, depending on how a building could be located, I mean, there's definitely some, I don't know if it goes over to the exit driveway. There's a
Yeah,
ton of trees
right
over
there.
there, so I mean, if there was anything, I don't know if it'd go that far, but I just gave that a point less. I did a 233, just because I thought there were more trees, but I don't know if that's really impacting the actual site. I don't know if it's
I'm good with 233.
within the site
But
itself.
we wouldn't be going over there because that's
That's
like
wetlands.
right on the precipice of the, the stream that's down below when I was,
That gets you into the wetlands and everything else.
I don't think
so-
we'd be taking the trees down, maybe.
Okay. No, three,
I think equal.
equal, 333?
333, what do you think?
I guess, I don't care.
It's okay with me, I don't care.
333.
I mean, yeah. Wonder where trees exist. I didn't know what there was up and back of the fire station. I guess that's part of what I was talking about to me. I know there's, I don't know.
That's been pretty cleared out.
Some of it's already been cleared out.
And at some points, so, the topography's so difficult, you would.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to climb
Yeah.
up there and start.
Yeah, okay. I'm good with 333 if anybody.
Mhm.
Okay. Drinking water protection, this was one that you, the committee added, and this was worth 2 points. I think they're all.
Yeah, in the public water supply protection area and potential source aquifer. Amy, those are the two that we have.
Yeah,
talked and
PAR had that Zero College Highway was located in the, all of them were located in the public water supply protection area. 210 College Highway was also medium yield potential drinking water source aquifer. And then 79 was medium yield potential drinking water source aquifer.
I thought this parcel was right on the edge.
It is.
It is, but it's still considered the, if you look at his map right there that he's got,
Yeah.
right there. You'll see that it's on this green. Sorry.
Oh,
Which
there
is
it is.
drinking water supply, it's in the overlay district,
Okay.
but it's not in the Barnes Aquifer yield, so there, these other two are in the medium.
Right.
Ooh,
It doesn't matter.
So I guess my question was not so much that, it was more, given that we added this and as I was scoring the other things, I was just wondering in terms of our total score on that, you know, if we have to be protecting our water supply, you know, giving it only a 2 versus, you know, some of the other scores, you know, is that a fair analysis? If they're all the same, they're all the same, so maybe it doesn't really matter, but I think we were thinking that we wanted to add it because the protection of the water supply and drinking water supply is very important to us, and to only rank its total score as a 2 seemed to be off base as I was scoring it. But that would mean, again,
But if they were all the same-
figuring out something else, and if they're all the same, it really doesn't matter.
It doesn't, it's because it's a relative score.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, but I do think that this location isn't in the yield area of the aquifer, so I would say 211, if we're just using 2 as the max. Because the other 2 are in the aquifer, you know, yield areas.
I would go 212.
You will call it, Clark Street's in exactly the same
Yeah.
aquifer.
Right, so zero,
According
zero
to that,
college
it
is,
is.
there's only
According to
one.
your language it is, but according to the question you should have asked, is it in a recharge area?
Well, it is on the map, that's all. Well, it's on the map.
I did a 212, so I put,
fine.
I put 0
212.
as the least of the,
Okay,
just because I thought it was sitting much more directly on the aquifer, but I,
shall we go 212?
I'm good with it.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
212, I think is it.
212.
212 and
212.
212.
Okay. Site development, utilities, whether there's an availability of all the utilities on site, utilities are in the road but need to be brought to the site, or some or all utilities need to be brought to the site. So maybe some are already on site.
You have utilities for all the sites in the road. I mean,
Yeah.
that was clear. You know, it's whether they're now in the site itself, but they need to be brought, how far they might need to be brought, actually, so.
Well, so,
I think in this case too, I mean, Zero College, so taking a step back, so 204 has utilities on the site, you've already got a structure on the site. 79 Clark Street, there are utilities out in the road, but Zero College Highway, the utilities are out on Zero College Highway, but they somehow need to get down to the site that's proposed for the public safety building, whether that would be done as part of this project or whether that would be done by the developer. I don't know if you guys know the answer to that.
we don't, do we?
We're just making our best assumption at this point that,
No, the development's proposed again, so there's nothing certain there. So I would say that they'd have to be brought back.
Did you hear that from Ed?
no,
I didn't.
Oh.
no, you done?
It's a proposed development, so there's nothing certain there. So I would go as of the assumption that they would have to be brought back back to the site at 0 College Highway.
Okay.
One thing also we should consider is the only place right now that has broadband in the path through Southampton is 204 College Highway. So if the facility needed broadband, they would have to reroute to wherever the new facility is. We'll break down power now for the school.
Okay.
Okay.
So how do you want to score it?
So it's, in some way, just think about 0 College and 79 Clark as bringing everything in from the road. If the building at 79 Clark sits way back, it's a longer distance, I think. I mean, I don't have a dimension here, but I'm guessing that's probably a longer distance. They're not the same scale, but if that helps you think about that at all.
So how does 422 sound?
What's the max on this?
5.
5 on drinking water, 5.
No, not drinking water, we're down
I'm
on.
sorry, utilities, I'm sorry.
Utilities.
Does this site not rank number 5? Because it
Maximum
has,
is 5.
I know, broadband and all utilities. I would vote for 5 on 204.
5. It's got the, and then what would you give the other ones? I see where Amy just plopped in 522. Does that work?
Well, that's what I was
Just, I'm
gonna say.
listening to numbers.
I was
Change it
gonna
as we go.
suggest-
Change it as we go.
That's what they call a social media influencer.
I was going to suggest ranking the other 2 the same.
Yeah,
Which is what she's got.
I agree with that.
522.
It's just really a question of which
so it's
one.
either a 522 or a 533, one or the other, probably.
I go with 2 myself.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay, 522.
Okay. Topography. So this is about the slope on the sites and what the slope might mean for your building and your parking and your access points. So we have some sites that are relatively flat or have a consistent slope across them. We have the existing fire station site, which has those terraces.
I've got 154, because this site's the most challenging topography.
That's
What do you have?
254 is what I had.
254?
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
All right, 254.
254.
Soils, the soil conditions, we talked a little bit about this when we were talking about stormwater, but again, the drainage for septic, whether there's potentially lead. We don't know anything about bearing capacity at this point, but those are the things you want to think about.
Well, I know a little bit about the dirt around here. I would go 132.
I defer to anybody that had more knowledge than me, so.
Do you think that the percolation on this and Clark Street would be about the same? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, it's bad here, but we did a perk test here, up on top of that ridge. We
Yeah.
found the gravel outcrop, but it would mean pumping it to the top of that hill,
How was it the town ended up buying up that hill?
because we needed
Septic system.
land that would perk.
And then it didn't work?
It did,
Oh,
it did perk.
oh, sorry.
We have a site there for a septic system for this parcel. And the other argument was that if this system failed in the town hall,
Yeah.
it would give the town hall an alternate site to put it in.
I thought that was the whole idea of the Grange.
No, it was for the police
Police.
station building.
Right. for the
Oh,
whole
oh,
town.
oh, okay.
all right, so the suggestion is 132, is that what I hear?
How did Parr's findings
Yeah.
rate these?
Well, I don't remember what Janet and I put, but I mean, I think you're on the right path here. 204 College Highway had issues with drainage. It wasn't the lowest of the rankings of that, but it also had the possibility of ledge. There was some outcropping seen. 79 Clark Street, we don't know anything about ledge, but the drainage
Which is poor.
was poor, very poor.
It's the worst quality soil,
Yeah.
I think.
I think we had downgraded that quite a bit. Maybe
Yeah.
1 or 0, I can't remember, but I can check that. That was a thinking.
Yeah. And then Zero College Highway, the drainage was quite good. We don't see any outcropping. So definitely, Zero College Highway is definitely better than the other two sites in this category.
So that would be
The other
a
two
3.
sites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's
Have
got
risks.
1, 3, 2 up there.
I concur
Do
with
you think
that.
that's good?
Yeah.
1, 3, 2? For
1, 3, 2.
soils, 1, 3, 2.
Okay.
All right.
Hazardous materials. So we're talking about, in this case, any site history for contaminants. We talked about pesticides and herbicides. We talked about some of the reports that PAR had uncovered for neighboring properties and all. So again, we don't know. More testing would be required, but it's the best guess with the data that we've got.
I'd go 222.
Yeah, I'd say we don't have enough information to really make an accurate assessment of that. So I guess I would go with Charlie on that we sort of neutralize it.
Yeah, there's,
Equal across the board, 222?
That's what I would.
I think the one thing that generally, I mean, you can correct me on this, one of the sites is because they thought it was a farm, there's potential for a lot of pesticide use and things like that, and so their assessment was something that would have to be further tested or something.
There were 2 that had had been used as a farm, and Zero College Highway and 79 Clark Street both had the potential for herbicides and pesticides. 79 Clark Street, there was also, remember the 5,000 gallon oil tank on the northeast side of the building, which had the perforated drainage pipe underneath it, which could, if there was any leakage or anything of that oil tank, could potentially carry oils to other parts of the site. There were perforated pipes identified as asbestos concrete. There was the question of whether some of those pipes carried industrial waste from into the building. There were quite a few potential issues. We don't know. And then the existing site, there were some oil canisters which were corroding. We don't know if those have leached. There was the potential use of firefighting foams, which are known to have PFAS in them. So there was something in all of the sites, but 79 Clark Street sort of had the most risks, I would say, with 204 College Highway having sort of a medium level of risks, and then Zero College Highway having the least. And I think actually, they did have a summary to this, didn't they? Zero College Highway, they said impacts from the environmental conditions overall identified are expected to be minor. And then for 210 and 79 Clark Street, they said for both of those sites, moderate to major.
Okay.
so we're at
121?
121, Amy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Costs of development. So given what we know about the site, is there going to be a lot of cut and fill, a lot of clearing, a lot of blasting, carrying utilities in? What impact could this have on the overall project cost, just from all the different things that we've talked about through this?
Well, 204 will need the blasting, need the heavy excavators and everything else. That's going to be the most expensive one. I would go, if we're going to use 5, I would probably go with something like a 1 for 204, a 5 for 0, and probably a 3 for Clark.
So I have a question about this parcel. Is it a given that if there is extensive ledge that has to be blasted, or can a facility be placed on top of ledge, built onto ledge?
That takes a lot of work for the geotechnical. We had a site recently where we did 75 soil probes to really map out the ledge, and we ended up having to blast. but it was a very controlled process, and that we knew exactly what we were going for. So it's really hard to tell because we don't know what the depth of it is, we don't know the extent of it is, we don't know the air capacity. So there's so many unknowns about ledge that I don't have any expertise in that part of the geotech world, but when we have come across a lot of ledge, we've had to either blast it or unearth it, to make the buildings work. But
What's your experience, Mark?
Yeah, you encounter ledge, even if it's only a little bit, you still have to scrape it, keep it level, and either rip it or blast it. And it's almost sometimes easier to blast a lot of ledge and a little bit of ledge, trying to take off a little bit. So you encounter ledge. Exactly. Ledge is expensive.
Okay, so so to answer my question, it will have to be blasted.
There will be some lead removal. The extent is
some removal. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So I had 355.
I had 354. I didn't see what the extreme cost on 79 Clark Street would be. Why would it be more expensive other than possible increase with drainage design? But 79 Clark Street is relatively flat. Not a whole lot of site work due other than drainage that I saw on 79 Clark.
My concern with 79 Clark is where's the drainage going?
Right. Drainage would be the biggest issue there.
Yeah, because the only thing I can see is ducking it to Clark Street and then rerouting it to one of the streams out there.
So you can't even do that anymore, doesn't it? Have to be all controlled on site?
Right, so you've got a whole retention pond system and everything else that has to be put in there.
But that would be true everywhere, no?
No, the
Wouldn't you have
Zero
to do
College
that on,
Highway.
what, wouldn't you have to do it on Zero College Highway?
No, because Zero College Highway's soil conditions are to the point that you can put
Better
in
drainage.
absorption systems
But
right there.
Art talked about some sort of retention pond for stormwater management.
Yes, that's
Right.
right. I know
Yeah.
for some of the subdivisions in town, they had to have retention ponds. and
Yeah.
they-
I mean, you'll have to address, basically the drainage is pre and post. They figure out what drainage is off on 210 now, which is largely paved, so you have a large amount of drainage leaving now, and that allows you to maintain that large drainage. If you have a virgin site, there's almost no runoff, so when you pave it, you'll have to put in a larger detention basin to max pre and post construction.
Yeah.
So I think
It goes back to the soil conditions, not accepting the water.
yeah.
What do you think the number should be?
What did you have, Mark?
I had a 354.
For cost of development?
Cost of development.
354.
Right, we have ledge,
Okay.
the major concern. I mean, you're talking about the septic system with a pump. It's not a big deal today to pump from a site up to a disposal field. They make package systems which are easy to maintain. So
354. She's got them up there now. Is that good for everybody?
It's okay.
So the 3 would be because of the ledge and the blasting? Or, because you just said the drainage could be pumped up? Right.
I think mostly is the site work associated with getting the entire site. So I mean, driveways have to be at grades and ramps have to be at grade, and you're going to be doing extensive site work on 310, 210.
Okay.
So 354?
Yeah. Good.
Okay. Acquisition costs. So whether you have to buy the site, whether it's available, whether you're going to take it for eminent domain, it doesn't sound like that's in the cards for any of these sites. But whether, is Zero College Highway going to be donated, or are you going to have to buy anything?
Well, that's an unknown.
Yeah.
There's
That's an unknown.
There's nothing certain about that.
It's been mentioned in an email, but it hasn't been a formal offer, I don't
Right.
think.
Yeah.
We can start
I
for
just
sure
throw out
by
one
saying
quick
10,
thing
but-
here. If there's any desire to get this to 100 points, the 10 points could easily be dropped to 7, and I don't think it would affect the overall number. If you're good with it being at 103, we're okay with that too, but I just thought I'd throw that out here.
103 is fine with me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay, okay.
We can live with it.
So 204 would be a 10.
Correct.
Yeah.
And probably 79 is pretty low because we're of the opinion is like $1 million plus or something like that
Right.
for that. We don't have, what is it on the market for?
I don't know, it's $1 million and two, I forget.
1.4?
It wasn't written initially, I think 1.7, but then there was some discussions, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Further discussions
Right, right,
about
right.
breaking it up.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I did a 10.96. I mean, I don't know.
I'll go with 1096.
I did a 10.93
Yeah, well,
because $1 million,
well,
$1 million
Well,
compared to potential
Yeah.
donation and nothing at all.
I think because it's a potential donation, we know 79 is going to cost over $1 million. We don't know what the college fund and Zero College is going to be. This is unknown. It's got to be somewhere between 10 and 3, I would say 6 or.
6?
I
Okay.
think that takes
For-
into that
Yeah.
uncertainty into
There's
account.
an uncertainty there that we don't know about. I can't.
Even if it was donated, does that, and this is an Ed question, does this have to go to town meeting to just accept a donation of land like that? I mean, I think it did when we...
Any acquisition.
Mhm.
So either,
Yeah.
whether you're buying it or it's being donated, yes, we'll go to town meeting.
So there's a lot of questions here.
So am I hearing 1063?
yeah, I think that's what
So
Mark.
what she's got up there, 1063?
I can't read that.
Yeah, that's what Mark
I'm
suggested.
telling you.
10.63 is what Mark.
They did that on purpose, just to annoy you and I, Charlie.
Well, either you could do
So,
There we go.
6,
Oh, sure.
the
Yeah, the whole
uncertainty
thing,
and
right.
without knowing any terms
It's like
and
the eye
conditions,
doctor.
6 is...
I mean, this is a crapshoot at this point in time. We're going with what we have, I guess.
Yeah.
what would you do, Christina?
Well, I'm not sure. That's where this is hard
Yeah,
to give an accurate ranking because we have no idea.
Well, to this date, it's not ever been mentioned to us that it would be sold, I don't think.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
we
it's-
don't know until something is in writing.
And all there was when I sent out the letter asking if we could get on the property and what was the property that they could get on. There was a mention in that response that they were intending to donate 4 acres or 4.2 acres. So that's.
But we don't know any
Is that-
terms and
no, Nothing
conditions.
at all. No, that's exactly, that's the extent of what we know about the donation right now in writing. That's all we have. We don't have
Right.
anything more than that. You're right.
So it's an intention, but
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
projected.
Right, it's projected. So that's where I don't think you can go 10, but I think 6 is a reasonable number. I mean, I don't know.
I'm assuming the purchase price of that would be less than, even if it weren't for sale, it would be less than the 1.1 million for 79 Clark. So that's why I felt it had to be bumped up a little bit from Clark Street. With Clark Street, we know it's going to be 1.1 million. If we went to Zero College, I don't think that's going to go from 1.1.
Well, wait a minute, what are the other sites there? I thought they were, the commercial
Yeah,
sites
the
were
commercial sites
over
are,
a million.
commercial sites are 400,000 is what they told us that day of the walkthrough.
Mhm.
400, okay.
Which is less than the
So times
1.1.
4.
And were they,
Huh?
how much acreage are they?
I think they're about an acre.
Okay.
Yeah, they're smaller.
But the
All
other-
right, so 4 acres of
Yeah.
commercial
So
property
it
would
might be
be,
more than Marvin Keystone, maybe, or 79 Clark, maybe, if we had to buy it.
so, or at least comparable.
Comparable, yeah.
But going back up to the horizontal row immediately above the acquisition row, the costs of development, the developer that we were on the site with, and I should say the owner, not the developer, and I'm talking Jim Labrie, he said, oh, we're gonna build the road that's gonna go from from College Highway into this potential public safety building. But again, that's not in writing either. He said
No,
that's gonna be.
There's been
it's all-
lots of talk, but there's no
Yeah.
plan so that we really have any definitive understanding of what the acquisition costs are. So that's true. So I mean, 5 or 6 or something is reasonable, I think, there. I mean, it's a 50% chance of what we know and what we don't know.
Right,
Right?
and if it's donated,
Then it gets
then it's,
better.
if it's donated, then we know it was 10, but it's not donated yet, and it hasn't been
Yeah.
accepted by the town, so we can't go 10, I agree with
Yeah.
that.
So may I ask a question? If we go through this process, we score this, and we'll say hypothetically the numbers for the Zero College Highway indicates that that's our first choice. Does that open up the select body to take and discuss and get something in writing? Or do we continue at this direction without actually knowing parcel we're gonna work on, because we're gonna be caught in the corner here of, you know? I mean, the exercise is good, I understand that, but once we get to this point, and we're getting to this point real close now, I think it needs to open up where Ed or the chairs of the select board needs to start opening up some negotiations with the owners of these properties to make sure something's in writing.
Absolutely, I think that should have been done a long time ago.
I agree.
Don't disagree, yeah.
Are you
So-
hearing all that, you guys? Amy and Janet? Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do we want, a 10-5-3, is that where we were?
That's what I vote for.
10-5-3, okay.
That works.
Okay. Let's finish it out, and then let's have that conversation. I think that's a very good conversation.
Yeah.
Like what I said last on Monday was, this is just one element. This is scoring it based on almost, you know, obviously a lot of your insight in the town and some technical data. So in the end, it's like, okay, you know, he's made a lot of the fellow's made some promises, and you know what Clark costs, and how does that match? So let's finish scoring. So displacement.
So displacement. So existing operations must be temporarily located. So obviously, we've got that issue for the fire department, at least at 210,
Right. So
204.
the other two, 0 and 79 would be 5s.
Right, 055s.
Yeah.
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 Right, 055,
Correct.
okay, that was easy.
Yeah.
And the winner is?
Okay.
But there is one thing that I don't think is on this matrix, and maybe it doesn't apply here, but if we move to one of the two sites, which obviously would be 0 College Highway, which is not one of our existing buildings, what about the cost of the town or what to do with the existing buildings? Do you factor those kinds of things in, or is that not in this exercise? It's just not in this exercise?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real thing to think about for the project, but this is really more about site selection itself and comparing the attributes of the different sites. I think it's a good conversation to have, though, when you're thinking about.
Yeah.
Is there another town, you know, a lot of towns, when they're, you know, abandoning a building, they have another use in mind. Other ones, you know, they just have surplus property, want to sell it, they want to sell the property. I mean, those are kind of things that, you know, you could potentially, and you probably know this, but a local real estate developer would have a better handle on the use, you know, comparative analysis for that, you know, is it a good location for something else, you know?
Ed was going to say something.
Yeah, it would be just like the question of, if this pointed back to 204 College Highway, does the cost of now, if the new building doesn't totally fit elsewhere from the existing building, what are the costs of finding a temporary location for the fire EMS department?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
that is not cheap too, by the way.
No.
We have
Yeah.
done many of those, coming up with a tent structure usually for the vehicles and you know,
Regulars,
yeah.
more modular units for
Modular
living
units for
quarters.
living, and office space. So, you know, we've done quite a few of those. And how long do you have to, are you leasing it? How long are you leasing it for? We, you know, this is not going to work for a fire department, but sometimes we've even found property in town. You know, we had one project we did, it wasn't a fire station, but it had big trucks. And they used an old car dealership. You know, they were able to, you know, save some money by figuring things out like that. So that is something that we'll have to go into the thinking of it.
But we have had situations where there's been a commercial property somewhere in town that at least the administration and maybe the living quarters could go into, and then a tent structure for the apparatus. There are a lot of options that would have to be explored.
Yeah, we did one time where they had a restaurant that closed, and there was a parking lot next door. We put the tent on the parking lot, and we did some work on the restaurant, which is big enough to house, you know, the quarters and the business part of it. You know, it wasn't ideal, but it was it was a good thing because it was well located. It was well located and it was available, and they did it and it worked for them. So I think that's a conversation that's important
Amy,
to have.
would you mind just scrolling up so that we can just see the total scores again? I'm a point off from your total scores. I just wanted to just.
I am too.
Just
I'm
the
keeping
across
track here.
The across one.
Interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
let's double
Did you
check
have-
all
yeah,
of
so
the.
just across the top, the
fields
totals.
Here.
Just the total subtotals. So I've
Just
got,
the total. Okay, I've got 22, 16, and 15.
Yep. Okay.
Go down.
5, 6, and 6.
Yeah. No. Okay. I had 5, 6, and 5. So what did we have as a sub there?
Site access is 2.
2, and then
Traffic is 4.
4. Okay. Traffic was 4. That was my mistake. Okay.
Okay.
That was it. That was
11,
my
10, and 9.
Yep. 7, 10, 9.
15, 20, and 14.
Yep.
And 12, 17, and 13.
Yep.
10, 10, and 8.
Okay. Yep. So there's our totals.
Yep. Janet, did you find
Yeah,
yours?
I missed one.
Yeah.
I'm still off by one, but I'm not worried about it because if you and Chris are good, I'm good too, because I don't know where to put it. Where I
Yeah,
put it.
I think 7, 8, 9, 12. Just.
So,
Yeah, I've got 14. For some reason, at environmental, I've got 14. So let me see the numbers. 2, 3, 5. Existing tree cover, I had put a 2 in there. I got it right. I got it.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
now we're matched. Matchy there.
So this is
Okay.
what we've got for the totals then. 0 College Highway is the highest at 79, 204 College Highway at 71, and 79 Clark Street at 65.
So Amy and Janet, how, at this point, if Zero College Highway got the most points, how do you proceed if this is still up in the air? How are you able to proceed?
So I think the next step was that we were going to get through this matrix and then narrow it down to 2 sites.
Okay. All right.
And then we were going to take those 2 sites and we were going to do some test fits and see if we could do some block diagrams basically to see how the program would fit on those sites, and then present those to you so that you could see, what works and what doesn't work. And that may make it clearer that one site's better than the other.
Yeah, and the fact that they're close, that's a good problem. Because
That's a good problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
excellent. Good.
There's nothing extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amy,
And
I may have
Go ahead.
the records for the testing that was done previously at the current fire station. If I find those, I'll forward them to you.
If you,
That would be great.
If you would, if you
That
find
would be
them,
great.
please send them to the 2 co-chairs, and they will forward them on to HKT and everyone else, please.
I could do that,
Okay, thank
you
you.
know?
Oh, and Amy and
You know what
Janet,
Sorry, go ahead.
I've done some further review of our zoning bylaws, and I will let you know, at least under our current, and I haven't gone back to try to discover what our ones that are in front of the Attorney General have changed or not, but I have found that either a highway garage or a fire station, and only at the parcel at 0 College Highway, will require a special permit.
Okay.
The other sites, there's no restrictions on it.
Say that again,
Which site,
please. Ed?
which site was that? Which site had the special permit? Did you say the Zero College?
Zero
Yeah.
College.
That's what I thought. I just, I'm making note here.
Will
and I
require?
missed that.
Yeah.
Do
Especially
you, do you want to change this number then? Do you want to take the 2 and make it a 1?
One,
Should be.
Where's that one? Which one is that?
zoning.
Zoning. Okay.
zoning bylaws.
That's what happens, you keep changing them.
Are we in agreement?
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah, that works.
Okay.
So that
Okay.
makes 78.
It changes the totals, it doesn't change sort of the results, that 0 College Highway is still above. And, when Janet and I went through this exercise, we didn't, I'm sure, have the same numbers that you all had, but the results were the same. We had 0 College Highway as the highest ranked, with 204 second and 79 Clark the last. So we would agree with that.
So, there is that subjective feel for it. Did anybody in anybody's heart, did they really want 79? Did anybody think the 79 had some really redeeming feature to it that we really should think about again? Not that I, it's clearly down lower, by quite a bit from Zero College, but, and that's the only other question. We've had a couple of times we've done this, and in the end, there was something about a site that was redeeming. Now, at $1 million, that adds a whole lot of money to the bottom line in your soft costs for construction. So you don't have to answer that tonight, but that's the one thing. The other quick thing I wanted to talk about, so like Amy said, we're next up is for the two, and I'm guessing the 204 and Zero College are the two you're going to ask for, but please stop me if I'm wrong there. We're going to do those blocks, and we want to get a little bit of feedback on the program. I know that we sent out some comments, and again, we just need to take a peek at that. And both chiefs responded to the programming number for square footages about comments about dropping things. So we did send those out, or we did send them out this morning, and then we did modify them. And then here's the police summary. The yellow highlights were my drops, or Amy and I did this together, our drops, and then you can see where it says minus 155, that was for the police, and you keep going down.
Sorry.
And then both chiefs got back and made some other suggestions, and those are in green. They zeroed that one out, and then on they suggested a drop it from 3 to 2 drive base, or base of the garage.
Sallyport, yeah.
Yeah, Sallyport base. And so that cut out 1,180 square feet of space in the police department. Similarly, the fire chief did the same. His were different, and he took out, we had cut out the yellows, which he all were fine with.
That was just slimming down a bunch of spaces.
Yeah, slimming down, and then he added a comment about the mechanic room staying at, it was smaller, and then he made it bigger again, and then getting rid of the oxygen storage and putting it into the scuba room. So that dropped down another 650 square feet. And then the last one, we haven't touched this one, the shared, we had suggested dropping a few things down. It's small amounts of square feet. You can see 46 square feet in the public spaces. It's 350 or 250 in the 350 with all the outside areas in the fitness area, and then I think so that was a total of 405 square feet that we were dropping.
Excuse me
yes.
for a minute. There are 3 of us who have to leave by 6:30. So
yes, that's fine. I just wanted to bring this up to you, so we'll send this to you, so you have the numbers from the chiefs. So when we start to do those boxes, we'll want to have some agreement with it, that no one has a problem with it. The chief from Emmitsburg did mention possibly dropping the size of the training community ESD room down a bit. I would have to respond to that by saying that's something the committee should look at. We were doing 48 seats for that room, and I think the 25 is a little small perhaps, but the 40, and there was a request to sort of get an opportunity to offer these seats up to training people that do the training, and so you want to keep that a little higher so the town takes advantage of that. They usually give free seats at those things or whatever. So we did not drop that at this point, but those 3 things amounted, those 3 reductions between my reductions to the chiefs, we cut out 2,244 square feet out of the program today. And I don't think it changes the mission or the expectations of the building at all, but that is something that is not insignificant to cut that much square footage out, and it's a part of the process. So we've gone down, we've gone from 30,148 square foot building to a 27,904 square foot building. So I just wanted to bring that up. We'll send these out to you tomorrow, and the scoring sheet as well. in the initial blocks, it won't make a big enough difference, but we'll eventually have to fine tune these a little bit, you know. And it adds into money, though. It does come out to money. Yeah.
All right, well, thank you, Amy and Janet, for everything tonight.
Yeah,
I think it was very productive. I think you know, you got along.
Good.
We did.
Right.
We did all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a process. These things, but, so are we hearing the two sites being College Avenue, the two College Avenue sites?
So I think we should vote on that, right? Let's vote as,
Yeah, I think you need to.
Yes, I'll make a motion to recommend 204 College Highway and 0 College Highway as our selected sites,
Second.
preferred sites.
Who seconded it?
Ian, or Mark?
Mark?
Mark.
Okay.
Anybody second? Who second? Mark? did?
Mark,
Okay.
yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes, that would be the case.
Okay.
Great. Okay. So we'll work on test bid options, and we had in our schedule presenting those to you October 23rd, if that works with your schedules.
Are we good with that? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah, that's a Monday.
Which day, Amy, did you have?
Is that a Monday?
October.
I had October 23rd.
Yeah.
No, you have the 30th?
No, I have the 20th, but I gotta.
The 20th is a Friday. The
Oh, no, we have to
23rd
have
is
it
a Monday.
completed by the 20th, Janet. I think the
Yes,
20th
yes,
was...
yes. Oh, yes, I'm looking at the wrong line. Yes, it is the
Yeah.
23rd. I have it in my
The
calendar.
23rd is a Monday, yep.
It's a Monday, that's what I was looking. So the 23rd, yeah. And if you have comments or anything else, please get in touch with us. We're gonna, next steps, some lucky cops. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay, it sounds like everyone has to go.
Can I ask one quick
Did
question?
you adjourn?
No, can I ask just one quick question?
Yeah, it's on another meeting.
Since we just voted on these two sites, should I then write back to the Marvin Keystone people and let them know, thanks, don't spend your time trying to get permission to get on the site? We've, looked at a variety of things and we've, you're not in our final choice list. I mean, should I formally write back to them and,
I think that would be
Do we need a
appropriate.
motion for that?
Well, does,
Ed, what do you think? I mean, I don't.
that's our recommendation as a body, does the select board?
Yeah, no, I mean, are we ready to do that, I guess is my question. Are you ready to have select board write to them and
Is
say?
there any urgency?
No, I just don't want them to come in next week and say, oh, by the way, yeah, you can get on the site.
Well, they missed that they knew the deadline was.
Yeah, but
Okay.
they're dealing with a major corporation, it's not somebody here in town, so
And you want to be...
Yeah, I would let them know.
I think if nobody, we definitely crossed out 79 Clark, so
Yep.
I think I'd just rather let them know and then they can go on their merry way, if that's
Right,
okay.
do we
I
need
don't
a-
think that Dana, if we needed to go back on, if we gave them a letter, we could re-ask.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
all right, so that's fine, I don't think we have to vote on it, I just wanted to get a sense of the group, if that's, okay, thank you.
Agreed, okay.
Okay, thanks.
A motion to adjourn?
No, we need to set a next
Motion
meeting.
for-
23rd.
Don't,
Oh,
No, let's
we got a
wait.
lot of other business to
Oh.
talk about, the engagement
Yeah.
and the scheduling and all that other stuff.
Yep.
We've been talking, we've been telling people we're gonna do things in
Yeah.
October.
I would suggest not next week because we've been,
Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
And that's a
we've had-
holiday.
Sorry, what about the
Oh, that's
16th?
right.
What about the 16th?
shall we say October 16th?
And sort of get, Ashton knows-
That'll be a week before our next meeting
Yeah.
with them and we can review programming because we haven't done that at all yet.
Is that okay for everybody?
Yes.
4:30 and on the 16th?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay.
I move to adjourn.
Second?
all right.
All approved? All in favor of?
Aye.
All right.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.